Hello and welcome. So today we're going to be going over how to solve one-step equations, particularly the ones that have multiplication and division in them. All right, so let's get to it. So first step is always divide your equation down the middle from the equal sign. So then you're splitting the left hand of the equation into the right hand of the equation. So you always know where you're at on each side, okay? So that's what that blue line is. Next up, what I like to think about is what am I really looking at? My objective is to get x all by itself. So what is going on to x here? Here we have 2x on the left-hand side. So what that really means is 2 times x equals 7. Okay, so now we know what's happening to x. So what can we do to undo it to get it all by itself? So what I immediately think is the opposite of multiplication is division. So I would divide each side by 2. And if I do it to the left-hand side, I absolutely have to do it to the right-hand side. Either way, you have to do it to both sides. Okay, so then what would I end up with? So then this would end up being 2 over 2 times x equals 7/2. Okay, so now 2 over 2, that makes our big one if you remember that from proportions, right? Or if you type it into your calculator, you can prove it. 2 divided by 2 always equals 1. So that times x, 1 times x, that just equals x because any number times 1 equals itself. So then we have x on the left-hand side equals 7/2, or if you guys want to make that into a decimal, 3.5. Okay, so that's one way to solve a one-step equation that is using multiplication. So let's try that again. Let's have some more practice. So here we have 9x equals 2. So once again, we need to split our equation down the middle. So we have specifically our left-hand side and our right-hand side. Next, we need to figure out what's going on to x, then we can undo it. So here we have 9x, which just means 9 times x equals 2. Excellent. So since we have multiplication, I know that the opposite of multiplication is division. So I'm going to divide each side by 9 to get my x by itself. So just like I was saying before, this ends up being 9 over 9 times x. Now 9 over 9, any number divided by itself, that makes a big 1, right? So this equals 1. And 1 times x just equals x. So awesome. So then that is equal to 2/9. So on the left-hand side, we have x equals 2/9. If you want to make that a fraction or a decimal, you can, but I'm going to stick with 2/9 for this one. Either way is correct. It just depends on what your simplification rules are. I would suggest reading the instructions because most worksheets and things that we give you will have instructions on if you want to be in decimals or fractions. Okay, so then what if we have division? What if we have division? Okay, so this is the exact same thing. We're going to divide our problem from the left hand of our equation to the right hand of our equation. And just like before, I'm going to write out what is happening to x because we want to get x all by itself. So what's happening here, anytime you see a fraction, that is signifying division. So another way to write it would be x divided by 26 equals 5, right? That's what our fraction bar is signifying. So then what's the opposite of division? Well, it's multiplication. So I'm going to multiply each side by 26. And then what I end up getting is dividing by 26 and then multiplying by 26. That gets us the big 1 again just like in the last two problems. So then we would result in getting just x by itself, or 1 times x, which is just x, equals, and then 5 times 26. And then we can simplify that farther with x equals, and 5 times 26 is 130. And so that's our answer, 130. Awesome. Let's try that out one more time. So divide your screen, divide up your left hand and right hand side of your equation. And once again, we are going to kind of figure out what's going on with x. So x divided by negative 40.5 equals negative 62. So here we have some negatives, so it's a little bit more complicated. But that's okay, we can do it. So this time I'm going to write it a little bit differently, okay? So we still have x divided by negative 40.5. Now what I know is that that divided sign means division. That fraction line means division. So the opposite of it is multiplication. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to times each side by negative 40.5 times x over negative 40.5. So this time I'm just keeping the fraction bar, but I am multiplying negative 40.5 times x. And if I do that on the left-hand side, I have to do it on the right-hand side. So negative 62 times negative 40.5. Awesome. So then we just have to solve things out from here. So negative 40.5, and then you see the fraction bar, that indicates division, divided by negative 40.5. So all of this is going to equal our big 1. So then on the left-hand side, we have 1 times x, or just x, equals, and then negative 62 times negative 40.5 equals 2,511. So that, again, is just one way to solve a one-step equation when it comes to multiplication and division. All right, great job, guys, and let me know if you have any questions.